And we're recording. It is October 4th, 2022, and this is our AscentPad AMA with Embr. It's actually Embr who's helping us out tonight, Embr.org. And we've got Dan in the room and the team, and we're looking forward to having a good chat tonight. So for those who know us already, feel free to just listen. You don't have to participate. As usual, we'll do a fire hose style data dump on you, and then if you have any questions at the end of that, feel free to speak, and then we'll this is being recorded, so we want to keep it relatively concise. We don't want to spend too much time in these AMAs. If you've been in one with me before, you know I like to keep them moving forward, end them when we can, and then I usually follow up with a TLDR or a too long didn't listen version and give you a shorter review of it in the channel later on. So Dan, thanks for coming. Really, honestly, thanks for putting your name out there and bringing the team with you. I've learned a little bit about Embr and some of the projects Embr is getting involved in, and one of the things that attracted me the most and why I want to integrate Embr Checkout, and I know that's just a small part of Embr though, and that's why I wanted you to be here. So tell us a little bit about Embr, and then I want to talk a little bit about Embr Checkout as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, first, thank you for having me. Usually I'm on the other side, so it's actually genuinely a pleasure to be on the interviewed side, and I'm genuinely happy to be here. For those who don't know me, my name is Dan. I am the head of customer engagement at Embr. I do a lot of sort of our B2B stuff, and yeah, so I'm just going to get right into it. Embr is a project that launched last November, and ultimately, Embr was born out of seeing that there was a big issue with accessibility in the space, and that there is a large market for different types of products that bring accessibility to the DeFi space. I'm sure every single person here can remember just how frustrating it was buying a token for the first time, figuring out all the lingo. It's like learning a different language, and then on top of that, you have to double check your smart contract addresses, and you have to make sure that you're not getting scammed and that you're using a reputable smart contract and that you're not sending some money into a honeypot. So basically, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of reasons to be fearful as a newcomer in the DeFi space. And Embr, at its core, was born to provide what the most seamless experience possible with the technology that is currently available. Um, so I see a number of my fellow Embr holders in here. I want to thank you for coming. And yeah, from the very first day, Embr has wanted to create what would essentially be a fundraising structure for the new economy. The idea that you can take an idea, get funded for it in using, token sales and, do something great. This is one of those revolutions in technology that only comes, you know, God knows how many, years apart. So Embr wants to see the space rise as a whole and take advantage of this economic revolution by creating the fundraising structure that connects newcomers who want to discover new projects from a place that they can trust and from people that they can trust with projects and potential project owners who are looking to dip their toes into becoming a project leader, but a little bit afraid, and they don't know where to start. They don't have the tools, the resources, or the capital to do what they want to do. So yeah, Embr Checkout specifically is a Embr Checkout specifically is our first product that is meant to help projects enable easy token buys on their website And not only on their website, Embr Checkout is, in the most fundamental way, a payment platform. So, our first version is about a small set of tools that you can embed into your website in a few different forms and fashions that allow basically provide a dedicated buy flow or purchase flow. So an end user does not have to go to a decentralized exchange. They don't have to fiddle with slippage. Everything is pre-configured. So as a project leader, you can actually create your own checkout and embed it all in about, if you know what you're doing, it really takes about like less than 5 minutes to fully embed checkout and have it operational on your website. Of course, not everyone in the crypto space is a web developer. So we do have people who are able to assist and get Embr Checkout embedded in your website. But
Yeah,
the whole purpose
you
of
know what, Dan? Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to break your stride there, but I will break your
yeah, yeah,
stride. I know
go
you
for
can
it.
pick it up again, but yeah, look, I think you've hit on like a ton of things that I know my first experience in this space. Now, I've been in IT for 30 years. I'm not joking,
Hmm.
since the 1990s, and I've been a web admin. I'll call myself an admin, not a developer, but an admin since the 90s too, since HTML version 3. And this space, the Web3 space, baffled me. Blockchain baffled me. It's not a
Hmm.
hard concept or anything like that. We work in technology every day, but that experience you describe about trying to buy your first crypto coin and all the things you have to check out before you actually buy, and how difficult it is and challenging it is, that you're speaking my language. That's exactly what attracted
Hmm.
me to Embr, the checkout feature. So awesome. So awesome to have that feature. And then what you say about being able to get the code and integrate it with your website so quickly. I was
Hmm.
able to grab the code in no time flat. Uh, Benjamin pointed me to the download, grabbed it, got it, and then me not being a React developer, knowing anything about TypeScript, I'll tell you
Yeah.
what though, I put the team to the test, and
Hmm.
Captain Obvious, what a champion out of Belgium, just stuck with it till we actually found a solution,
Hmm.
and then we've obviously changed paths now on the AscentPad side of things, but and we're gonna get right back on track as soon as we can. But yeah, those two things right there, being able to quickly integrate and make it what I believe you referred to as a frictionless experience in purchasing crypto, absolutely awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think every single person here had quite a learning curve where they probably even, wondered to themselves, is this even worth it? Is this even worth getting into? And that right there is what we're trying to avoid, right? Because there's sort of this loss of conversion that happens, right? Like, for instance, my brother was interested in investing in Ember, but he still needed me to help him do that, right? Because he's not a crypto type. His first token pretty much was Ember, and he, without that, me being there, he probably wouldn't have gone through with actually investing in Ember, and that's a lost conversion, right? So when you really think about the amount of times that someone might be staring at a token and just feel like, I really don't feel like going through the process of, import getting BNB on an exchange, importing it to my wallet, going to a decentralized exchange, fiddling with the slippage until it works, and then making sure that the token actually appears in the wallet. There's like 10 levels of roadblocks, right? And the thing about checkout is it tries to solve as many of those as humanly possible, where you literally go to a website that is embedded with checkout. For the time being, for the next short while, you still have to have BNB or the native coin in your wallet. However, the V2 of checkout, which is the one that we are so excited to get out, is going to have credit card functionality, Google Pay functionality, Apple Pay functionality. So you'll be able to buy tokens with a variety of different payment methods, right? And that right there will cut out the need to go to an exchange or some other fiat on ramp somewhere else, and it will contain the entire process of discovering a project that you want to support and creating a wallet and having that. Oh, I just pressed a button, and having that token drop into that wallet all in one place in one flow, no redirections, no weird slippages or pancake flipping noises in the background. It is a contained flow dedicated
And this
to your token built how you want it to be.
exactly, and this is what excites me about the Embr Checkout button, because like you've described so many times, it is such a difficult experience, even for someone in your own family, for heaven's sakes, trying to help them
Hmm.
go buy crypto because they want to buy crypto. You can imagine how much we're missing out on because people aren't able to easily buy crypto anymore. And I
Hmm.
think the like you mentioned and even sounded just a tad excited about being able to buy with fiat. And I have to say, I think everyone here listening would be equally excited. Now,
Hmm.
tell me, what's the criteria though in order for now? The reason why we want to have this conversation is there's a lot of project owners in the room tonight. There's a lot of
Hmm.
project owners that will listen to this afterwards as well. What's the
Hmm.
requirement though? So obviously DeFi is easy. We get that part. It's all crypto, no real requirements. Show up, bring your crypto
Hmm.
wallet with you, your BNB or whatever blockchain it's on, your native
Hmm.
token, and then go buy the token of choice on the project of choice here in the room. But now when we talk about fiat, there's more regulation. So what's the requirements for someone to pitch up, put the button on their page and get someone to buy with their credit card, for example?
Yeah. So, sorry for that. Yeah, the big part of checkout, right, is we want to cover the compliance and legal side of basically the process of on ramping to your token from fiat. Every single step in the checkout flow, especially when V2 gets here, will have either AML built in, or for instance, the checkout right now has a live liquidity scan. So let's say a token, someone just created a token that has like $100 of liquidity in there. You're not going to be able to install checkout. It'll actually dish you an error. Um, and down the road, there's going to be additional security features built right into checkout that will disable certain, criterion of projects from being able to embed checkout. There are terms of service. There is, a whole bunch of legalese and whatever else that, basically allows. Well, also, all our vendors and intermediaries are also, top of the line in terms of compliance. For instance, a number of you have probably heard of Transact before. They are um, the step of our fiat on ramping uses Transact, and they have a heavy compliance focus. They do anti-fraud monitoring, anti-money laundering, etc. So there's kind of every step of the way there is, security measures in place and compliance, considerations, at the heart. And
So if we're
ultimately, we
dealing
also. Mhm.
So if we're dealing with fiat currency and credit cards, then do the project owners have to have a registered business?
No, they do not. We do. So we undergo a hell of a lot of scrutiny, and we do actually. There will. It's uncertain. So not uncertain, but we haven't exactly finalized how thorough of our, what would you say, our rules will be for allowing people to get that fiat on ramp, because we also have Embr.org too, and we will most likely require businesses to undergo a KYB to claim pages on Embr.org, or for certain steps in the fiat payment flow. So KYB is on the table. The exact implementation of how we will do it is not set in stone yet. Um, and the reason for that too is, on our side, the legalese and the, compliance and whatever else. But there will likely be KYB for certain features.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at this exact moment, I don't have too much I can comment on with certainty along those lines.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're
that'll
spot on
probably be
because
guided. Yeah, that'll probably be guided a lot by the compliance and regulation on your side once you know
exactly.
more about it. Yeah.
Mhm. And yeah, also the most nitty gritty of the compliance and the legalese is handled by our COO Eli. So he's the one. If you ever wanted to reach out and get the most precise information, he'll be able to tell you precisely what the plan is. The plan might already be solidified, but I'm just not in the loop on that specific topic. Um, but either way, yes, we have a very heavy compliance focus because, yeah, when you're talking about dealing with the traditional financial system, you need to be careful that you're obeying the traditional rules and a heavily regulated industry. Just because DeFi is a little bit less regulated, when you take the traditional financial infrastructure and kind of plug them together, you do have to follow the rules of the traditional financial sector, regardless of how regulated DeFi is. So yeah, there are going to be some considerations along those regards, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's the thing though is our ultimate goal is to take care of all of that so that you guys don't have to.
That's
And
awesome.
additionally, too, we work with Upsala for anti-money laundering, which is Sentinel Protocol, which is owned by Upsala. This is like a enterprise grade AML that works with the likes of like Samsung.
Yeah.
So we're not afraid to go big when it comes to compliance and making sure that everything is copacetic with our technology.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
and not
awesome.
to
So,
mention too,
yep.
you go.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say that's awesome. But and most of this. So before we scare everybody out of the room, most of this is all regulation around creating a fiat currency on ramp to your
Hmm.
token. If you
Yep,
don't
yep.
need that, and you just like that frictionless process of converting BNB into your token or Ethereum into
Mhm.
your token, the standard Embr Checkout, as it is today, works perfectly for that.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a kind of a perfect way of putting it. I think a lot of people will be interested in fiat, but some might just be interested in doing native to fraud prevention. Oh yeah, a very good question, Shane. So actually, we have a few different things. So KYC will be a requirement. The first, so Transact's policy is everyone will have to undergo KYC at least once, and then after that first time, it'll recognize your email that you used, and you won't have to undergo KYC again. As for anti-fraud, Transact has its own anti-fraud engine, so it does actually, keep a live track of, fraudulent transactions and whatever else. And on the AML side, we work with there's actually AML built into like multiple functions in what we do, down to our cybersecurity partners. We're not just clients, but formal partners with Hacken cybersecurity. Um, and that's one reason why our checkout V2 with Fiat will have the Hacken badge right on it, also to help instill some trust in the end user. And the router contract that powers checkout got a 9.8 out of 10 and the highest security rating possible to achieve under Hacken's guidelines. Um, so yeah.
I think something worth mentioning too, Dan, is that Transact
Mhm.
is it's a very uh, very old and mature company in this in North
Yes.
America, but it's not so well known. Having grown up in
Mhm.
North America, the Greater Toronto area, and lived there
Mhm.
all my life, Transact was normal. That was part of the Royal Bank of Canada banking system back in the '80s when bank cards were first, plastic cards were first introduced, right after credit cards.
Mhm.
But outside of North America, Transact's not so well known, and but anyway, they've matured in the industry, and I don't think it's really money laundering or necessarily or fraud prevention, but more like fraud mitigation, if anything, that they do. And all they do is they pick up patterns, and just like anybody else does, any other banking system, they pick up patterns and names and people and whatnot. And if there's a a red flag on someone's account, they know it and that kind of thing. That's all it is on the back end.
Yeah, and just being in crypto, there's never going to be a 100% success rate in any anti-fraud engine, right? But we go to great lengths to maximize the security built right into checkout. So anyone who instills checkout will arguably be providing one of the safest means to actually buy their token, even over the decentralized exchanges that checkout is plugging into. So that's all kind of part of the promise of Embr Checkout. The underlying concept is buy your token, in a trustworthy way, and yes, there will
Frictionless.
be some frictionless.
Yeah. I like that. No, that's awesome. In fact, that's why we're here. I just wanted to introduce that whole thing to everybody in the room today because, at the end of the day, we still do our own research on a project before we buy into it. We take responsibility for the decisions we make. Recommendations around the type of card you're going to use, like the ones that Shane's dropping in the chat. If you're following there, 3D secure cards and prepaids. Those are the securest way to, that's the securest recommendation to give potential investors in your project. Those are awesome recommendations. We would have to do that. But I wanted to bring the concept of Embr Checkout in here because as a launchpad, we will be launching other projects and we're working closely with Seek Token on the KYC and audit side of things. And they have a really nice hand-holding process that goes a little beyond what Certic and Hack can do, which is really good. They get into the underpants of the developers a little bit and check things out down below before they get, and not everybody likes that, but that's okay with us because if they don't really want to go and get fully audited or KYC'd before coming on board with us, we really don't want to launch them. AscentPad, if I segue just a little bit to the AscentPad side of things, the original founder of AscentPad founded it to help create a safer place for Web3 for investors in this space so that people can feel confident investing in projects. And so we don't want to bring projects to the table that aren't going to be legit. So for us, the Seek audit, Seek KYC components are going to be very integral to our process as well before we launch somebody. And then for every project that we bring on board, we are going to recommend, as initially as Binance Smart Chain Launchpad, we are going to be recommending that they use the Embr Checkout. That's it. And if they've got to
address a comment real quick? I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The flues thing is like a personal pet peeve. Oftentimes, we'll see ourselves getting compared to flues, and it's actually from a baseline look. That is probably one of the people that makes the most sense to compare.
For clarity, Flues is a competitive product, I would take it.
The only thing about Flues is they charge upfront. I think it's like $3,000, $5,000 or so that they charge up front to businesses to use. And two, they don't actually create a comfortable user experience, right? Okay. So it's similar, but I think generally those of us in Embr are very confident that we separate ourselves from Flues in pure user experience. And ultimately, if you go to Flues, you're essentially getting a traditional decentralized exchange experience. And you still have to deal with a couple of road bumps that you can't build a wallet from within Flues. You still have to temper with slippage and whatever else. That's usually kind of one of the things, we get compared to Flues. I just like to always mention that our entire model and way of going about business, in addition to the actual focus on end user experience, are key ways that we separate ourselves. But yeah, I'm sorry to go on that tangent. Whenever I see
No,
Blues,
it's
I have to
okay.
mention that.
I think that's good clarity for everybody in the room too. I mean, at the end of the day, some like blue and some like green and some like yellow. So if the
Hmm.
project wants to go with another app, that's entirely their choice. I just think
Hmm.
for myself personally, and this is just our personal recommendation, what I've seen from Embr so far and the experience
Hmm.
and the integration and the cost. It
Hmm.
costs it costs. So how much does it cost up front, Dan, to get Embr
Hmm.
Checkout integrated?
Zero. It doesn't cost you a
Okay.
dime, which
That's what
is,
I thought.
hard to aggress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
100% actually, Shane, that's spot on. They were getting very comfortable in their, I guess in the market until Embr Checkout, came along and decided, hey, instead of charging people thousands of dollars up front, we're instead just going to take a small sliver of transactions through a fee. We charge a convenience fee of 1%. Right now, it's not live on checkout that you embed into your website. Once Fiat or Checkout V2 comes, there will be a 1% convenience fee. Ultimately, it's like it's very easy to overlook in the way that most people will not blink paying 20% for a buy tax, right? Many people won't blink,
Yeah.
you know, paying 1 inch like $2 or $3 for a bridge, so generally a 1% fee we feel was very, very is very competitive and fair for what it is we do. But yeah, instead of like thousands of dollars up front, we prefer more the Stripe way of going about it.
Okay. So I think you buried the lead there a little bit. So right now, if anybody in the room integrates Embr Checkout, there's
Hmm.
actually no fee at the moment.
Hmm. Yep. Right now there is no fee. Well,
so
specifically
so wait.
for the
So
current
this is
version.
going to cost this is
Yeah.
going to cost us zero to install it, aside from
Hmm.
some development fees, and it's not going to cost our customers anything to pitch up at our door and buy through Embr Checkout at the moment.
Yep, yep. And that's the beauty, right? Is right now
Wow.
we've been in beta since like March, right? And the whole
Okay.
reason we haven't officially gone live yet is because, we've been able to onboard, I think it's like close to 110 projects right now. Like we are deep in the B2B side of things. And a lot of that is possible, yeah, because adoption is much better when you do a percentage of a transaction as a fee rather than saying, all right, $4,000, $5,000. There's another competitor similar to Flu's. I won't name drop them because I respect them, but they charge, I think it was like $15,000 for their little widget, and it's absolutely insane, But when you have something that sells and people I mean, our system is very volume based, right? So
Yeah.
theoretically, we're building a Telegram bot. We have the ability to actually embed checkout into the Bubble buy bot. We have Embr.org. We have the actual checkouts. There's like 2 or 3 different forms of checkout you can use all at once. More volume. We have for right now, it's the same. It's static. It's built into the smart contract. However, we have an enterprise version that we will likely speak more about in the future that does some profit sharing. But enterprise is definitely, there's a higher bar to be approved for that. Um, but yeah, it's a really cool system that we've built, and it's you can have checkout that familiar flow and like 3 or 4 different parts of your website in subtle ways that doesn't aggravate sort of the flow of what it is you're doing, right? If you
Okay.
want absolute control, you can use a modal button that you plug in anywhere on your website. You can even just make it text. You can literally just take the hero text and attach our modal to it and make it into a buy interface, like a pop-up. So there's yeah, it's a pretty fascinating system we've
Okay.
built. But yeah, I'm sorry to go on another
Okay.
tangent
So
there.
now I got to drop the bomb on you, because look, we're here. We're here because AscentPad themselves want to create a safer place for investors. Seek KYC audits before we launch projects. That'll help us achieve that goal. We're not going to say this is perfectly 100% safe. We can't prevent a project from failing or anything like that. Everybody's got to do their own research and whatnot.
Market
In
forces.
fact, we've hit a speed bump. The project itself, AscentPad, was robbed, but for the sake of the community, we're putting it back on track, and we're leveraging a third project. And here comes the bomb I want to drop on you. We're leveraging the Crypto Bronto NFT project on the Ethereum blockchain as a funding mechanism. It's always been a funding mechanism. It's to help build an NFT platform where we're going to do exactly the same thing, create a safer place for creators and buyers and sellers in the NFT space on the Ethereum blockchain and other blockchains as well. As time goes on, we're just starting with the biggest ones and we'll grow from there. And the Brontos are an art collection. They're a generative art collection. It's clean lines, it's family friendly, a little bit goofy, high res art. So what we did with it was sniping art pieces are kind of a thing in the art space. So to make them sniper resistant, we buried secrets in the artwork because it's 8K. Those two things combined still make this artwork very, very unique in the NFT space. And so what we're doing now is we only need about 40 investors to help us get things back on track, and we're providing some very healthy incentives. You're going to start earning reflections tokens from AscentPad when you buy the Bronto NFTs right now. You're also going to earn token reflections from the NFT marketplace when that kicks in, and you're going to hold a really cool piece of artwork that's unique as an NFT, and that tends to grow in value over time. Think 5 years from now. It's a long-term investment. We get that. But like I said, we only need about 40 good investors to help us relaunch AscentPad, and then we're off to the moon with all our projects and whatnot. But can I get a checkout button for an NFT?
That's actually in our roadmap for checkout. It won't happen up front. I would expect this to still, unfortunately, be a few months down the line. Unless I'm wrong, I could be very wrong on that. But yeah, I know it's in our roadmap because ultimately the technology should work for precisely that. Especially the technology is already there to do sort of swap backs, which is in essence be a sell. And with the combination of the two, would allow us to be able to do this for NFTs. It will likely take a little bit of time, though, for that to come to fruition, just with sort of higher priorities, if that makes sense.
I think maybe it's not done yet because NFTs are kind of they're a slightly different beast when it comes to this space. You're not swapping one token for another. There's no liquidity pool required. You're buying a commodity off the shelf. So you just bring your native token and you go and buy it. And the minting dApps are fairly simple. So there might not be a lot of demand for that kind of thing. But I just thought I'd throw that into throw that spanner in the works, because that's ultimately what we want to tell people about tonight too, is the AscentPad relaunch and how you can support that in our Give Back, Get Back campaign, where you can earn up to a total of 220% in reflections in return on your investment. I might not be stating that correctly, don't hold me to it, but there's a full explanation for how that's going to work, and we've got some tokenomics worked out, listed on the website. But basically the Bronto project was going to fund our the development of the NFT platform, and then overall fees. We were going to do two things with fees we earn, because we hate criminals in this space. Web3 is just rife with them. In particular, the Binance Smart Chain space is just rife with criminals in this space, and we want to help minimize the impact of crime on victims, big or small. So on our side of things, we have a cybersecurity team. We are, I haven't told anyone this yet, but we've actually started on AscentPad, and we're going to have some more news coming on that later. I've sent Liam into action, and we're going to see what we can shake out of the trees. We know how to follow things on the blockchain, but Liam's got a couple tricks up his sleeve. We might pull a rabbit out of the hat and find a location for the criminal in this case, but let's leave it at that. That's happening. That started. We've got that underway. And then in larger criminal cases, like in the Mirror Trading International case and AfriCrypt, we work with CII, and this is the part we bring to the table along with the Crypto Bronto project, and that's why it's cool to invest here, because we have the teams together who can hunt down and legally place arrests on the criminals. When a legal case is opened, lawyers are involved, and we have a mandate. The Council of International Investigators, there's 420 of them internationally in 72 countries. We can have boots on the ground with handcuffs in their hands in about 24 hours in just about any country on the planet. So when the criminals commit a crime, we can go after them in a very IRL way, unlike a lot of other companies. So as long, we work with local authorities in every country to do this as well. Just to give you an example of a small case, about 2 months ago, this isn't a crypto case, but Liam was hired by, we were hired by someone out of the Toronto area, and oddly, Liam caught the guy. Within 3 days, we tracked them to a location of a warehouse in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where we thought it was just one crime, one theft of very expensive tires and rims. But that turns out it was a much bigger ring. They found a warehouse full of stuff, and the local authorities got involved, placed arrests, and it was all over with in a short space of time. Not all cases are like that. That's a bit of a different case. Cryptocurrency and fraud are more difficult to track and nail down. That's what we bring to the table on the Crypto Bronto side of things. And so one of the things we wanted to do was, where there's a small amount of funds involved, let's just raise the funds and give back to the community. If not for the community on the AscentPad side, I wouldn't even be talking to you today, but for their sake, we are just inviting everyone to get back from what they give. So give by buying some Brontos. If you have 10 or more, we're going to give to you as well, 2 more, so 20% bonus on top of that. And if you buy 5 more after that, another 20% bonus, and the bonuses keep racking up. But we only need about, like I said, 30 or 40 investors on that side of things to kick things off. And as soon as we kick off, we're coming after our Embr Checkout button. So I'll be talking to you and Ben and Captain Obvious again, and we're going to integrate. And then after that, once we get rolling, from the Seek side of things, we're going to start bringing some Seek audited projects to the table. And then like I said, we're going to recommend to them, let's look at the Embr Checkout feature, because it just makes it so much smoother. I mean, like you said, look at all the people that want to buy crypto but can't, just because it's so awkward, and that button just makes it so much easier. So I'm looking forward to the fiat feature, and we're definitely going to be integrating that on AscentPad to ramp up our purchase rates as well. Anything else you want to add, Dan?
Perfect timing. I was just about to say, the beauty about what we're doing too, it's commitment free, right? Because it's free and there's no contract, nothing like that. There's no like some sort of like commitment or anything, especially for launch pads. I like to just throw that out there. It's completely commitment free. So, a new project, they might be wondering like, oh, okay, if I put this on, do I have to pay something? Am I like locked in for a certain amount of time? None of that. So I like to say, it's pretty much something that you can demo. You can plug it into your website. You can even use like an online HTML compiler, plug in the code, tinker with the widget, see if it's for you. And, if you like it, that's awesome. It's free. If you don't like it, you don't even need to embed it. Even if you do embed it, you can still just take it off at any time. There's no commitment. There's no fee. So it's really one of those things where, I like to mention that it's something worth trying, just for the sake of trying. If you don't, there's something you don't like about it, you prefer not to have it, you can always just take it off. It takes a couple seconds either way. And
Yep.
it really is perfect for project leaders. There's no, string attached, really. It's meant to make project leaders' lives easier, really, and the end users.
Awesome. Awesome. I think I'll just wrap up this part of the AMA by just reminding everyone why we're here. We want to create a safer place for everyone. With Embr, we want to also make that not only safe, but easier for everybody to get involved in not only AscentPad, but in Seek's projects, in other projects we launch from here. And we invite you, one and all, to join us and reward our communities, create a safer place for everyone in Web3 and for blockchain enthusiasts around the globe. And continue building with us the most powerful crime-fighting community on the planet. With that, I want to just open it up to anyone who might have some questions right away. If you are muted and you want to put up your hand and say something, please just click the button and I will unmute you. For those who are unmuted, just speak freely.
I promise we don't bite.
And it's typical. This is usually why we just end the recording here, but I thought I'd just hold it just in case, because we might have someone with a real valid question. So maybe what we'll do, because it gets recorded and I don't see anybody putting up their hand, that's good. Let's call it there. And then for everyone listening in who got it this far in the recording, thanks for listening this far. I am going to do a TLDR version of this and post it as well. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we're going to stop recording now.